I'm going to show you a few different techniques you can use to color your monster, but I want you to think about all of those color activities that we did back in block 2 when we were doing our color wheel and our color mixing. The whole idea of doing the color wheel and the color mixing was so that you could use those when you start your monster. So I have some crayons and some markers that I'm going to use for this one. As you color your monster, you want to think about what colors blend well. Look at your color wheel, the colors that are next to each other on the color wheel, like 3 in a row analogous colors. Those would be the colors that are going to blend well. So you don't want to choose colors that are very far apart. For example, if I chose red and green, you might remember that will make brown because they are complementary colors all the way across from each other on the color wheel. Instead, I may want to try to blend red and orange or red and red violet. That may be a better blend idea for me. So let's get started coloring this graphic comic book style monster. I've sped up this video so that it can go more quickly as you watch it. So I told you that I saw like a yellow and yellow-orange in my mind when I was drawing this monster. So I'm starting off with a bright yellow marker. It's almost like a yellow highlighter color marker. And I'm going to fill in the majority of my monster's face. Now I'm going to switch to a dark yellow to see if I can blend those two together. You might be thinking, Ms. Sikowski, they're both yellow, but you can see the difference. Now, markers don't blend that easily. So since I'm doing a graphic comic book style, it's okay that you can see the lines, but I kind of use a jagged edge on the marker so it doesn't just stop and start. You can still go back and forth with the lighter color to blend when you're using markers, just like you would if you were using paint or oil pastels. Now I'm going to switch from yellow to orange. Now you can see these two colors are very different from each other. Even though they are next to each other on the color wheel, the orange is quite dark compared to the yellow. So there's a good chance just by looking at it, you might notice that it is not going to blend easily. Colors that are similar blend more easily. So I'm going to add that jagged edge on there again, just to make it look a little fuzzy and to give it the idea that it's changing color and blending without actually blending the markers together. On the beak, I'm using the orange again with that jagged edge and yellow on top. Now, if it is still wet, that marker is still wet, when you go over it, you might get a little blend. So you can see a yellow-orange is appearing on the beak. You're going to continue on your monster, just coloring around using similar colors. So here I have a blue-green. What's similar? Green. They're right next to each other on the color wheel. So you want to try to find similar colors that are neighbors on your color wheel. Flip back in your sketchbook and check your color wheel if you're not sure. Here I have red violet, a dark maroon color. That's going to blend well with red. Now it's marker, so when I say blend, it doesn't always mean that it's actually going to mix, but you can see that it does go well together. It does not cover each other up. And by using that jagged marker line, it helps make it look like it's blending, even if it's not. So keep moving on, keep coloring. Now I'm using a green marker. It's a bright yellow-green marker. And I'm going to use a minty color green to blend these together. Now, since these are so similar, and because I'm working quickly, you might notice that these colors are appearing to blend more easily than, say, the orange and yellow, which were very different. Now that my monster is pretty much complete, I need to decide what to do with my background. Since I'm using marker, it would take a really long time to color the whole thing in, but I wanted this monster to look like he was coming out of the shadows because he is a creepy monster. So I'm using the side of the marker to get an even tone with the marker, to get a nice spread of ink on there, and I'm just making lines from the top of the paper to look like a shadow is coming down around him. Just giving it some finishing touches here to get that shadow nice and dark. And there you have it, my finished creepy monster.